Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Phil Games, and this video is going to be kind of different. Uh, so I wrote and recorded a whole video talking about Undertale's mysteries and what they might mean, now that we have Deltarune, like ways that they could be talking about Deltarune, because obviously we know that some of them do because Clam Girl talked about Susie, who then turned out to be from Deltarune. So yeah, I made, or I didn't edit, but I recorded a whole video on that. And then, Game Theory released a video that talked about a lot of the points that I brought up.
But now, years later, it makes a lot more sense in light of the plot of Deltarune.
And also, I just didn't feel like editing it. I don't know what it is about having to put game footage over stuff. I just don't want to. So this video is just going to be basically me talking to you, looking over my script and talking about the stuff that Pat didn't bring up. So yeah, here's the video, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, I was gonna do this whole video without these guys, because some people who saw it were like, could have done without them, and I get that for videos like this that are just like talking about theories, and also, it is way harder than you would imagine to write extra characters into a script like this. Oh yeah, I started by just being like, okay, just in case anyone still isn't sure, Deltarune is in a completely separate world from Undertale. It's in an alternate universe. What? Toby made a real, official, canon AU of Undertale?
You know what this means.
I'm sorry, I had to put that in there. I'm way more proud of that joke than I should be. Anyway, so then I basically talked about some of the tweets that he's put out that show that he's been working on this game since before Undertale and coming up with ideas throughout Undertale's development, so that it's even possible that he might put references to Deltarune in Undertale. One of the ones I thought was really interesting that I guess I'll bring up is, it's not one of his tweets, but an evidence for this is that in the collector's edition soundtrack booklet, Toby has a bunch of notes on different ones, and on the page for Bone Trousel, it says that Bone Trousel was originally meant to be the battle theme for another game that he was working on that didn't really go anywhere. Didn't really go anywhere, he says. But I think we can be pretty sure that this is Deltarune, because he also says in that same note that Heartache was going to be for that same game and was going to be called Joker Fight, which is an obvious reference to Jevil. That would have been weird though. Heartache being Jevil's theme just doesn't seem like it works. So yeah, then I talked about Clam Girl and her connection to Susie. Don't know why their names are spelled differently, the Susie that Clam Girl talks about and Susie in Deltarune, but based on the stuff that happened in the Switch version of Undertale, the extra dialogue in the True Pacifist ending with Clam Girl, it's pretty obvious that they're talking about the same person. Or maybe I wondered if Clam Girl was talking about an alternate version of Deltarune Susie that lived in Undertale's world. I'm not sure though. Oh, also, that line, Clam Girl's dialogue about Susie maybe being the reason that Frisk came to the Underground in the first place. I don't know what that would have to do with Deltarune. It might have something to do with Deltarune from like a lore standpoint, but I thought that that it might just mean that Toby's original idea for what would become Deltarune is what inspired him to make a game in the first place, so that without Susie, Undertale never would have happened. Alright, then, of course, I went on to talk about Gaster. Talked about the possibility of the one who's pulling the strings in Deltarune being an alternate version uh, of the Gaster that we find in Undertale, but I thought that there were just too many hints at there being a connection there for Toby to be like, nope, they're two completely separate people. Oh, that reminds me, I didn't bring this up in this video, but I did want to say I've heard some people be like, oh, this is probably going to happen because we know that that's what Toby Fox does. No, you don't. He's only made one game. I heard a lot of people who played the game, a lot of YouTubers, pretty sure Jacksepticeye did, he was like, oh, I understand you, Toby. There's going to be multiple endings because I know that that's how you do things, but he just did that in one game. He's only made one real game. So we can't really say, oh, this is just how Toby does things when we try to predict what's going to happen in Deltarune. So I also brought up the tweets that were on the Undertale Twitter page leading up to Deltarune's release. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'm almost positive that the dialogue at the very beginning of the character creator part of Deltarune is a direct continuation of what who I'm pretty sure is Gaster was saying in those tweets. It's a pretty clear connection there. And also, don't know if you knew this either, but when Deltarune was released, nobody even knew that it was a game. They thought it was a survey program, which is why it's called survey program. That has nothing to do with like any secrets or anything. Like, we downloaded it to be like, hey Toby, here's what I think you should do for your next project having to do with Undertale. And then he was like, psych, your choices don't matter. Yeah, so that was very interesting. And then basically I'm like, yeah, Deltarune might be the key to answering all of like the questions that we still have about Undertale's lore, like the mysterious stuff about Sans and Gaster, and then I go into a whole big theory that I had, so I guess let's talk about that. Yeah, it starts with saying basically what MatPat said, that entry number 17 might actually have to do with the creation of Deltarune's world, or the I don't know, manifestation of the dark world that Chris made up, which I don't know for sure, or maybe just created the dark world. I'm probably going to talk about like exactly what I think is going on with that in a separate video that's kind of like this, but just focused on Deltarune. So then, yeah, I talked about the Gaster followers. I thought that one thing I found that I thought was really interesting is we don't really know how accurate their information is, because like, if Gaster's in Deltarune, then it wouldn't really make sense for him to have been shattered across time and space. And especially because the follower who says that leads that specific phrase with "they say," so they might not even know themselves exactly what happened. So then I thought that these followers, that name might mean that they actually followed him into his creation, which would be Deltarune basically, to try to rescue him, maybe? I don't know why else they would have gone, but maybe it'll be explained later. And also having to do with the new revelation that Clam Girl is a Gaster follower, I thought that maybe while she was looking for Gaster or whatever, trying to rescue him, if that's what happened, then maybe she lived next door to Susie and her family. So that's why Susie would be her neighbor's daughter. Oh yeah, then I'm basically like, also Goner Kid, no idea. Still no idea how he would fit in. Oh yeah, I did say that there was one other follower that isn't exactly called a follower, but okay, it's Sans. I think Sans followed Gaster into that world for the same reason that the other followers did, whatever that might be. But the reason that he's able to get back out, maybe. Oh yeah, I should probably say that. I do think, in relation to the characters that cross over between Deltarune and Undertale, which is mostly Sans and Gaster, I think, that Deltarune then does happen for them before Undertale, so technically makes it a prequel. So then Sans obviously made it out of Deltarune, but the Gaster followers didn't completely. So I thought that maybe it was because Sans possibly has determination, which is something that people have been speculating about in Undertale, and that could also explain what his machine is. Oh, and that could mean that either Gaster or Sans could be the man that came from the other world that the river person warned us about. Yeah, the credit song says "Don't forget," which is obviously an important phrase. And possibly coincidentally, Deltarune's title is in all lowercase, just like Sans's dialogue. Oh yeah, Papyrus. I don't know how he would fit in either if Sans did come over from Undertale. And then I basically just ended by saying that we don't have all the answers. We never will until the full game comes out. That Toby surprised the world with Undertale. He surprised us with Chapter 1 of Deltarune, and I'm sure that the answers to many of these questions will be something that none of us see coming. So yeah, there are some of my thoughts on Undertale in light of Deltarune. I will for sure be doing a video that talks about Deltarune more in depth sometime in the future. I do have a bunch of other videos planned. I have a lot of a playthrough of Celeste recorded already that I have to edit yet. I'll probably be talking about some games that I just finished that I've never played before. I might also just make a video talking about Undertale because I think I'll want to do a video talking about kind of reviewing all of the games that I do Let's Plays of, which after Celeste, I'm pretty sure most of them will be ones that I have not seen much of before. So those will be fresh, just blind first time reviews, and yeah, I'll keep doing Let's Plays, keep doing those, and basically if I want to talk about something about a game, I'll just record a video like this, and it'll be great. So I hope you guys will stick around for that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!